Number 10, is 2021 going to be as dark as 2020 was?
Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
I mean, it absolutely sucks right now, and at the time of this recording, I don't even know who the American president is. Is it Kanye West? Pretty sure got 50,000 votes. Hashtag Kanye West for 2024. You can do it. I think Michelle Obama should run, but I still think Kanye West has got it over Michelle. Well, apparently there's predictions saying 2021 will bring an invasion of Muslim extremists over Europe, and that the continent will face chemical attacks from these so-called Muslim invaders. Looks like this group has already been in the UK since 2009, and probably even before that. Could this prediction be true? Well, we're coming up to 2021, we'll find out. So before we get into number 9, make sure you guys hit the like button, and you're gonna want to hit the like button for this one because we are gonna be doing a PS5 giveaway. I'm super excited for that one. Make sure you guys head over to my Instagram account at Landon Productions. Look for this contest picture and tell me what games would you play for the PS5, and make sure you follow me and tag 3 friends in the post. So as soon as I'm able to order the PS5, I'm gonna order a bunch of them and give them out to you guys. So moving into number 9.
I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time. A time of disruption in the life of our country.
So if that's not bad enough for Europe, she also predicted the economic fall of Europe for the year 2021. Next up at number 8, in 2021, Baba Vanga claimed we will see an assassination attempt against Vladimir Putin, Russia's president. What's more, well, she thought the threat to him would be coming from his own country. These are traitors from the country he was born in.
Using a military mine to attack his motorcade. But the report doesn't mention just where they hope to get that sort of hardware from.
He has already had an attempt against his life before he was technically president. That was back in 2012. Could she be right in thinking it can actually happen for real? Number 7.
I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now.
Speaking of presidents, Baba Vanga predicted that Donald Trump, president of the United States, unless Joe Biden won. Well, the prediction on this one is that the president would suffer from a severe illness. So maybe that's Joe Biden. Maybe he's the president and the prediction shifts a little bit and we're talking about him. Well, this illness will render him deaf and result in brain trauma. Pretty tragic. I hope this doesn't come true. I wish no ill on anybody, but actually this could have happened earlier when Donald Trump had COVID. Maybe this was the prediction, and well, the president did get sick, but I have no idea how he made a remarkable recovery. I mean, he's hiding the cure from all of us. I know we're talking about Baba Vanga here, but the Simpsons are also pretty good at predicting things that actually happened. We have a video about it, so if you guys want to check it out, make sure you guys click right over here. So we all know the Simpsons has been known to predict the future. It makes you wonder, how the heck are they doing it? And moving right along, number 6.
Not being by nature particularly attracted to the ineffable or the mysterious. However, it seems that the idea of higher consciousness is in fact a very interesting one.
In what was more of an opinion or a statement, she claimed that the consciousness of people as a whole will change, and that we are witnessing devastating events that will change not only our outlook on life, but the fate and destiny of humanity.
Human consciousness can be enhanced, maintained, and transferred through and onto any hardware device or cloud service entity.
Talk about being dark. Number 5. Trains will fly by sunlight. This one is quite a famous prediction, but it isn't clear if she was referring to them as being, solar powered or actually whizzing by the sun in the solar system. Maybe she's referring to the Virgin's Hyperloop train that is said to travel as fast as commercial airplanes through tunnels that look pretty futuristic and cut travel time down from hours to just minutes. And moving right along to number 4.
The universe owes you a debt of gratitude for bringing this to my attention. Now, in terms of how we handle this moving forward, obviously, Earth is canceled.
Beyond 2021, she predicted that life in the cosmos will be discovered, and even went as far to say that it will be in that moment we will all understand how life on Earth came to be.
His what now?
all humans on Earth and in the afterlife will be extinguished, and we will start the entire human race over from scratch.
And just like that, coming in at number 3, for good measure, we added this one in a not so dark prediction because, well, these are all pretty dark and terrifying, especially considering Baba Vanga. Okay, I don't know if this is actually proven stats, but she's been right 85% of her predictions before her death. Whatever she was spewing out was just boom, facts coming true, boom, everything was happening. She wasn't just predicting them.
Is it possible that a cure for cancer will be available in 1 year's time?
We've been seeing the news talk about this as well. Well, BC, well, before COVID, but Baba Vanga might be right in her prediction that cancer could be cured by 2021. That last clip was from just last year. Moving on to number 2, we have this.
Baba Vanga proclaimed her prophetic abilities not only allowed her to tap into an unknown realm of information, but it also put her in contact with extraterrestrials.
Baba Vanga believes that after we learned about the creation of Earth, the next 200 years, humans will be connecting with their ancestors in other worlds. I know Elon talks about it a lot, about becoming multi-planet species, and that on Earth, you know, we're gonna destroy Earth, we're not gonna be living on Earth for long. We have to find other planets to keep the fate of humanity alive. And anything that Elon Musk says, aka my hero, aka I think he's more than 85% right about predictions, whatever Elon says, I believe. So I think there's gonna be a world where my ancestors or my family members, my cousin is gonna be living on other planets. Finally, in at number 1, and maybe the most chilling prediction of all, a strong dragon will seize humanity. Is this real life right now? But hey, I thought we were talking about like the dragon, like a real dragon, you know, Game of Thrones being real life, but I think it's being referred to as China and world domination by them. It's pretty scary to know, like they have over, like, what is it, 1.3 billion people? They could probably invade where I'm from in Canada. We only have 30 million. They could probably destroy us right now. At number 10, we have this. So this one's pretty crazy because Baba Vanga and other prophets like Edgar Cayce have both said the assassinations, or the very least murder attempts, will occur on 4 heads of state that becomes one of the causes for the start of World War III.
This war will start in November 2020 and run through until the end of October 2021. Now, some prophets and others believe that this will start in Libya, Egypt, and Damascus areas of the world, while others look at the current state of the United States, with the election going so rocky and Americans constantly divided. And this will start a civil war that will eventually include usage of nuclear and chemical weapons.
And just letting you guys know that I am back on my original channel, the OG channel. I've been running for about 12 years now, Land in Production. Click right over here, I'm back. So let me show you what it is. Here's a quick trailer. Is the Canada Goose gonna take it on?
I'm on top like I'm goddamn Mario, right? I'm just
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Okay, is this real life right now?
And guys, remember to hit that like button because it really helps us out.
Alright, with that said, number 9 on this list, we have this. Due to the radioactive showers in the Northern Hemisphere in 2020, because of the war mentioned previously, animals and or plants will die.
We have already seen how devastating nuclear attacks can be on societies like Hiroshima and Chernobyl.
No life has been able to grow in those places in a healthy, normal way due to the aftermath of nuclear explosions, and that happened so long ago.
Next up, we have number 8. Middle East will wage war against Europeans and NATO around 2020.
So yeah, this is a prediction, and that last clip is from Tokyo in 1995, an event that saw used to murder civilians.
People were killed and another 5,000 needed immediate medical treatment.
So So this is kind of crazy that this has been predicted because we have already seen similar things happen previously that were devastating. Number 7. Around 2022, Europe is almost empty. Baba Vanga predicts that this one will have to do with the Middle East and the chemical wars that we've talked about in number 8.
But it is said that decades will go by before Europe is inhabited again.
Just imagine that, Europe just being totally wiped out, like there is no Europe, there's no EU.
Just a barren wasteland.
Well, luckily the UK is out of the EU, so if Europe goes extinct, the UK will still exist, right?
Yeah, so we can still get Love Island, guys. We can still get episodes of Love Island.
Is that the UK? Is that a UK production?
Yeah, it's UK. It's in the States now, but the UK one is extra spicy.
China's Belt and Road Initiative, the most ambitious infrastructure project in modern history that's designed to reroute global trade. And it's how China plans to become the world's next superpower.
China will become the new world power around 2023, and I've got to say, this one doesn't surprise me. China has been setting up infrastructure for years to be able to take over the world. Their One Belt initiative is a promise to invest over $1 trillion into more than 60 countries that are in need of money. But it's been said that they will only help those countries if they take over ownership of them, and thus start to buy countries one by one until they own most of them and become a huge superpower. It's pretty much not an if at this point, but when. And as for that, Baba Vanga thinks this will be in the next couple of years.
Number 5.
You might not realize, but we owe everything on this planet to the sun. The toasty climate, the photosynthesizing plants, and even the vitamin D in our bodies.
Earth's orbit will change slightly around 2023. This one's pretty scary because if the Earth changes its orbit even just slightly, it can cause the planet to either overheat or completely freeze over, like, you know, the movie Day After Tomorrow, or it can cause us to collide in numerous things in outer space. I don't really want to take a chance because no matter what, it sounds pretty terrifying, like I'm either gonna burn to death or just freeze to death. I think if I were to have to pick one of them, I'd probably freeze to death as long as it happens quickly and I don't feel anything. Just heating up, it seems like a little bit of pain. Seems pretty painful if you ask me. But apparently it's gonna happen around the same time as Europe empties out, Europe just disappears, and also around the same time where China takes over the world.
What if the Earth left the sun's orbit and traveled straight into the empty darkness of interstellar space?
Coming at number 4, development of a new energy source around 2028.
Hunger slowly stops being a problem. Now that would be amazing.
Around the world, renewable energy use is on the rise. And these alternative energy sources could hold the key to combating climate change.
Finally, some good news. Hunger stops being a problem, but based on the last couple predictions we've seen, maybe hunger becomes less of a problem because there are less people on the planet to consume food that we have.
I mean, it would make sense if Europe disappears and you don't have to feed like the millions of people that take up Europe. So a good problem or a bad problem? Well, Baba Vanga's predictions are always really dark and scary, and it's terrifying if they come true.
Coming in at number 3.
At the height of summer, even the permanent ice caps are touched by the power of the sun.
In around 2023, all of the polar ice caps melt and the world ocean levels rise.
Very sad news for polar bears. This could be really problematic as everyone is extremely concerned about this happening already and how it would affect sea levels and basically Earth's flooding.
We would lose so many countries underwater. It's like the whole world would be Atlantis.
I mean, maybe Atlantis is a futuristic story of Earth and not something from the past, and that's why no one can find it.
The effects of rising seas are already being felt. Coastal communities, even in the UK, becoming more vulnerable to storm surges and extreme weather events.
And just like that, at number 2, by 2043, the world economy is prosperous and the Middle East will be running Europe.
There are quite a few Baba Vanga predictions that seem to be very similar to this, or occurrences that happen around this.
Like number 9, for example. She felt pretty confident that the Middle East would take over Europe, and that's by whatever means they have to.
And coming at the number 1 spot, 40.
I was born in Jersey. Where are you from? I was born in Jersey. Okay, and raised in South Florida. There it is. Where did Canada come from? That's where I was cloned at. story for another day.
Anybody's organs can be cloned or manufactured.
Yo, I'd want to clone myself.
You want to clone your whole self?
Yeah, I do half the work. Like me number 1 does half the work, me number 2 does the other half.
Oh, but see, you're getting too spicy with your clone right now. Because when you start telling your clone what to do, then your clone kills you and takes your spot. That's always the clone predicament.
Damn, that's the Chape prediction.
Yeah, no. That's you. You have to be very careful with the clone because the clone will try to take your spot.
Damn. Well, getting back to this, replacement of organs is becoming one of the best treatment methods.
Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed.
This prediction is for the future beyond 2021 and 2022.
It's probably in like the far future. Unless Elon Musk is working on it now, then it'll probably happen pretty soon. But it hit our number 1 spot because, as you can see, this isn't anything new. Celebrities claim to have been cloned all the time. And there are some pretty dark holes that you can go down on YouTube if you start searching these things. What celebrity do you think is cloned?
Which one do I think is cloned? Zendaya is a clone of Halle Berry.
Interesting.
That's my
Who would you want to clone? I'd clone Elon Musk.
You clone Elon Musk?
Yeah, I want to get to Mars 2 times faster.
Yeah, I think that's a good clone. I don't know. I don't think I don't have a clone pick. That's not something I got in the catalog.
True.
Yeah. It's pretty alarming that former presidents of the United States, Bill Clinton, actually stated publicly that cloning is possible.
Ooh, that might be a clone right there.
You want to clone Bill Clinton?
No, he might already be a clone.
He might be a clone. That could be why he's so evil.
There's theories out there about it. Well, I wonder if Baba Vanga spoke to the creators of Black Mirror, and that's how they got all their ideas, because all of this sounds like it could be episodes for future seasons.
And the number 10 spot is an alien invasion. So, starting us off about as far into conspiracy land as I possibly can, because why not? According to the famous blind seer Baba Vanga, it's not just typical human wars that we should be worried about this year, but the invasion of an evil alien species as well. Now, there are many different conspiracy theories surrounding the existence of aliens to begin with. Among believers, some think they are harmless, while others think they are dangerous, and there's even a third sort of faction that suggests there is obviously more than one race of aliens, so both dangerous and peaceful could exist in our universe. Now, putting aside the theories surrounding if aliens are dangerous or not, according to Baba Vanga, this year we will be invaded by a race of bloodthirsty monsters that will tragically result in the end of all humankind. If that's all true, it would mean that 2023 would be the last year we all have, as again, she predicts aliens will wipe out the human race and take over the planet Earth. I mean, there is very little we can use to verify the validity of this statement, but you can sure hope I am praying it is not true, because, well, I just don't want to die. Now, all that being said, Baba Vanga did also predict that the world won't end until like 5079, so there might be a bit of breathing room on this one. However, if this does all end up to be true, would the government know about their impending arrival and be preparing for such a disaster? I mean, I just have so many questions. Let's just hope this one misses the mark and does not come true. Next up at number 9, a star explosion. Although the exact date is not specified, according to the Mystique Vanga, one unsuspecting day in 2023, people will be going about their usual daily business when all of a sudden, without any warning, the sky will become frighteningly illuminated by a blinding flash of light. But it won't be lightning or some power outage. Instead, she predicts that a massive star will explode, sending down a terrifying shower of sparks and debris across the globe. To make it even worse, Baba Vanga foresees that the explosion will be so bright that it will be seen from every corner of the globe, lighting up the night sky for an insane 5 years. But apparently the phenomenon is going to be so alarming that astronomers and scientists will rush to study it, only to find that it is unlike any other solar explosion to date. And the star's blast will be so powerful that it will cause the very fabric of time and space to ripple and bend. So if Baba Vanga is correct, then the entire concept of time and space could cease to exist as we know it from now until 2028. I sure as hell hope not. Coming in at number 8. No more money. Sometimes when I read these predictions, I wonder just how many bad things could possibly have been foreseen to exist in one calendar year. And apparently on top of an alien invasion and the end of time and space as we know it, Vanga also predicts that in 2023 the concept of money as we now use and understand it will come to a complete and utter halt. Now, I know it's hard to imagine how our world would function without currency, as literally everything revolves around it. But if you think about it a little less literally, we are already seeing the beginnings of this. Cash is virtually on its way out, and everyone pays for everything with their cards, their phone, or even their watch. Plus, with the addition of cryptocurrencies, who knows how long the idea of currency as we currently understand and use it will remain. However, just like most things, this could go in two vastly separate directions. On one hand, she could mean something along the lines of what I just said earlier, and no more money means a shift in how we use currency. But it could also mean that there's some kind of economical collapse, and so the concept of currency at all becomes obsolete, and that would be insane. Coming in at number 7, a bird epidemic. Among the other catastrophic predictions Vanga believes will come true between now and the end of the year is a deadly bird virus that could potentially be so widespread that nearly all species will be at risk of extinction. The virus, transmitted through the air and contaminated water sources, will strike quickly and with devastating effects. Within weeks, entire flocks will be wiped out, and the once common sight of birds soaring through the sky will become so rare that they will almost feel like an urban legend. As the virus spreads, scientists will scramble to find a cure, but despite their efforts, the virus will prove to be unstoppable, and the birds as we know them will cease to exist. Now, this would be devastating for many reasons because, well, our planet needs all the species it has to work properly, and the loss of every single bird on the planet all at once would cause major issues for not only the population of creatures the bird eats, but it would likely also cause an overnight collapse of the farming industry. I mean, just think how much money people make off of chickens and turkeys alone. So for obvious reasons, let's hope this one missed the mark. Next up at number 6, bioweapons. Now, if this list of hypothetical catastrophic 2023 events hasn't scared you much just yet, then this one just might. According to Vanga, in 2023, there will be a big country that will carry out bioweapon studies on humans, which would have horrifying consequences. For those who don't know, bioweapons are essentially bacteria or diseases that are used in an effort to harm and kill people in an act of war. Now, the good news is that many large countries like Canada, US, and the UK have a complete ban on these type of experiments, but there are other countries around the world that could still be the culprit. But who knows? If other 2023 predictions are true, countries could pull out of the treaty and begin conducting experiments to try and make it out alive. The consequences of the release of bioweapons could be detrimental and has the potential to wipe out the whole planet if we aren't careful. Coming in at number 5, a nuclear explosion. Among her many other foresights for 2023, Vanga also warned that sometime this year a nuclear power plant will explode, causing irreparable damage. Now, to be fair, this has happened before, and so the idea of it happening again, while incredibly frightening, doesn't seem like her most outlandish prediction. Plus, there are certain countries who are at war with others that possess the power to cause such a disaster. Now, what's especially spooky about Vanga is that she has a wild success rate, 85% in fact, according to scientists that have studied her predictions. So it has many wondering if this prediction will fall into that 85% success rate along with Chernobyl and her own death date, or if it will be among the 15% that she has missed. For the sake of our planet, I'm crossing my fingers that this is not something we will be faced with for the last half of this year. Coming in at number 4, a solar tsunami. As if the predictions for 2023 haven't been through enough already, there is a dark end of world prediction that there will be a solar storm on a scale never seen before. Now, solar storms happen when a burst of energy is released from the sun, and this sends electrical charges and radiation hurling towards the Earth. While that does sound a bit freaky, it actually happens all the time, like the Northern Lights, for example. But what Vanga was predicting is more along the lines of complete and utter worldwide blackout, followed by technological failures and overall global panic. Quite literally, she is describing a dark age. If her prediction is true, it would essentially cause complete societal collapse, and truthfully, who knows what happens from there. Coming in at number 3. A change in orbit. Next up on the dark predictions Baba Vanga has in store for the year of 2023 is that apparently our Earth will change its orbit. Now, the details of how this would even happen were not given, but if it turns out to be true, we are in for some serious issues. For starters, any shift in the Earth's orbit could bring devastating damages to sea level and our climate, both of which aren't particularly thriving to begin with at the moment, and even worse, if the Earth moved any closer to the sun, the increased radiation and temperatures would cause a complete breakdown. Essentially, any changes to the Earth's orbit would send us into complete and full mayhem and would very much be the end of the world, which, you know, is frankly not how I would like to spend the rest of my year. Coming in at number 2. Cyborgs. Along with the death of all birds, a nuclear explosion, a solar tsunami, and even an alien invasion, this year we will also see a revolutionary new technology being developed that will promise to change how humans live forever. Baba Vanga says this cyborg system, if you will, is going to be a groundbreaking development that allows people to replace their natural bodies and organs with artificial ones, making them part human and part machine. Now, not all of this is incredibly far off to believe. I mean, we already make prosthetic limbs for people and so on, but I think it depends on what things we start replacing and how much of the body becomes a robot that determines the sort of post-apocalyptic feel of it. So, like with many things, in the right hands, this could be a good advancement to medicine, but in the wrong hands, it could very much look like a dystopian wasteland ruled by robot overlords. And last up in our number 1 spot today is lab births. Almost like some weird cousin to The Handmaid's Tale, Vanga's most terrifying prediction for 2023 is a dystopian world where we will see the end of natural human births. Specifically, that birth, the way we have been doing it since the beginning of time, will be banned. She claims to foresee that the government will make it the law that all life must be created in a lab, and that medical experts would essentially decide how many people are born a year, and that parents would be able to customize their traits and appearances even. Now, this prediction doesn't come totally out of left field, as we do have the capabilities to involve science in the process to a much higher degree than ever before. A while back, an article was circulating about a real-life human boy named Adam, who was created in a lab from stem cells and grown in an artificial gestational sac for 36 weeks, and it caused quite the uproar. Now, this article was proved to be totally fake, but the entire idea of it was believable at the time and certainly made many people very uncomfortable. Could it be something that comes true in the future? I mean, maybe? I just hope if medicine does advance in that way, it does not also outlaw non-lab created humans.
And we're starting off the list with quantum computing. So unlike traditional computers, which use bits that are either 0 or 1, quantum computing uses qubits, which can represent any combination of both 0 and 1 at the very same time. This means they can perform complex calculations much quicker than the computers we use right now. Baba Vanga predicted breakthroughs in this technology playing out in 2024. Now, quantum computing isn't inherently bad, and it's definitely useful for solving complex problems, but there's a dangerous side to this type of technology. The major concern here is its potential ability to break encryption methods that we use day to day. Sensitive data could be leaked with far more ease than any hacker would be able to accomplish. Authentication systems that we have in place now could also become completely obsolete, leading to potential breaches and cyber attacks. More on cyber attacks later in the video, by the way. And at number 9, we have a global economic crisis. Baba Vanga made a prediction that in 2024 the world might face a massive economic crash. This means a a lot of money troubles, people losing jobs, businesses struggling to stay open, and it becoming incredibly difficult for many to manage their money. A giant financial storm that could affect how we all live and work. And as to the cause of this economic crisis, well, we're not certain, as these are simply unfounded predictions not based on evidence or anything really tangible. But if some of the stuff coming up on this list really does play out, it won't be much of a surprise why money will be an issue for a large segment of the population. And on top of that, money would be the least of our problems. One possible cause of the global economic downfall could be related to the very next prediction on our list, though. At our number 8 spot, we have a global disease. The prediction here is that there will be a worldwide epidemic similar to that little thing we experienced back in 2020, only this time much, much worse. During these wonderful couple years where we were in and out of being locked away indoors and wearing masks everywhere we went, there was this idea floating around that maybe this whole thing was preparing us for something bigger, a pandemic that would be more deadly, more contagious, and spread around the world faster than anything we had ever experienced before. Whether this will be some intentional virus spread to enact, political control, or something nature will throw at us. If this prediction does end up coming true and we are met with some kind of terrifying super virus, I just really hope we're prepared. There's also a chance that Baba just got our dates wrong and this global infectious disease already swept its way through the population in 2020 and it's all mostly dealt with. It's also possible that her prediction is just completely bogus, so keep your pants on. Next up on the list we have the mysterious disease. Now this prediction directly affects the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. According to old Baba, Trump is going to contract a mysterious illness next year that will cause brain trauma and deafness. Can't help but wonder if this will be the result of the same disease that we just discussed. Sounds pretty awful though. Not sure what the brain damage would entail, but losing your hearing, definitely something I would not wish on anyone. Number 6, a strong dragon will take over the planet. Baba Vanga spoke of a formidable dragon that would rise to prominence, and as cool as it would be for the Earth to be ruled by a winged, fire-breathing monster, she didn't mean dragon in the mythical sense. Instead, this quote-unquote dragon is a symbol of unity and power. This dragon, according to her visions, represents the coming together of Russia, India, and China, 3 major global players. What she essentially foresaw was this significant geopolitical development where these nations would forge a closer alliance and cooperate, forming a powerful bloc. And while she didn't really delve into the specifics about what this alliance would entail, the implications are pretty clear. The emergence of a powerful force that could totally reshape the political landscape of the world as we know it. This change in power could also potentially lead to another prediction that's been hinted at for 2024, a potential third world war, as said. Not fun to think about. Next up, we have the rise of AI. Apparently in 2024, the use of AI is going to skyrocket, completely changing the world as we know it. Out of pretty much everything on this list, this is something I can totally see happening because it already is. AI is progressing at an alarming rate, learning faster than any living person ever could. It's getting to the point where scientists are actually kind of concerned about AI gaining some form of sentience, and if that happens, we're most likely totally screwed. Not because AI would necessarily be intentionally malevolent and want to destroy us like Skynet, although it totally could, but mainly because it could easily replace us. Human expression, talent, and skill could become a thing of the past. Like, just look how quickly AI has already affected some industries. Writers and actors are on strike, animators and artists are fearing losing their jobs. I find AI really creepy, and I'm just hoping we're gonna find some way of integrating it in a way where it won't completely get out of control. At our number 4 spot, we have first contact with alien life. The Nostradamus of the Balkans predicted that extraterrestrials will finally make themselves known to us next year. Known to the public, anyway, if you're one of those folks who believes aliens are already amongst us. Introducing us to incredible new technology, and changing the world as we know it, of course. Now, this could actually be positive. If they turn out to be friendly, this would be awesome. One step closer to that Star Trek world I've always wanted to live in. But if they're not so friendly, yeah, you know, actually though, gotta say, if there's one way I'd want the world to end, it would be this. I think it would be pretty cool. Going out battling aliens, be a much more awesome way for humanity to go extinct. Definitely beats the planet being destroyed by a giant meteor or something. That's just kind of boring. Far less heroic. Maybe being invaded by aliens would finally force humanity to come together for once, too, realizing that we're not all that different after all. Sucks we'd need an alien invasion for that to come to fruition, but it is what it is, I guess. Next, we have a rise in natural disasters. Apparently, 2024 is going to be met with a number of crazy disasters, mostly due to climate change. Tsunamis, monsoons, hurricanes, tornadoes, you name it. These disasters are predicted to cause widespread destruction and death. One specific prophecy relates to a powerful tsunami that will apparently hit Asia next year, being the most deadly since 2004. As to exactly where in Asia, not certain. Neither is the prediction, though it's just that, it's a prediction. So for all the residents of Asia in the audience, don't panic yet. Take this with a grain of salt, a very heavy grain of salt. There's also predicted to be a major earthquake in the Pacific Rim. The shifting of tectonic plates in the Pacific Rim. We're gonna have giant kaiju pop out of the ocean that we'll need to build giant-sized mechs in order to battle against. That would be pretty expensive. Could lead to a global economic collapse. Yeah, you see the dots starting to connect. And at number 2, we have chaos in Europe. Yeah, apparently Europe is gonna go through a lot starting in 2024. You folks have some fun years ahead of you if Baba's predictions actually play out. Most of this relates to religious extremists unleashing more attacks on various parts of the continent, targeting both civilians and political leaders alike, one of whom is Vladimir Putin. Apparently someone from Russia is going to attempt to take him out. According to her, in the end, power will completely change hands in Europe. And it's not just that. Her predictions also stated that there would be a complete collapse of Europe's economy. All this will supposedly lead to displacement of many Europeans, with the continent being sparsely populated by 2025. So, word to the wise, may want to hold off on your European vacations for the next little while, because it looks like things are going to get pretty hairy. Finally, we have a rise in cyber attacks. Vanga's vision of 2024 paints a pretty bleak picture of the digital realm, essentially becoming a battlefield, with malicious hackers orchestrating cyber assaults on an unprecedented scale. These attacks will apparently extend far beyond conventional data breaches and phishing attempts. Instead, they'll come about as like the sophisticated and highly destructive attacks that could compromise critical infrastructure, financial systems, even the fabric of society itself. Vanga hinted that these cyber threats might have geopolitical implications, potentially altering the balance of power in the world as we know it today. There are some predictions that overlap here. As you could probably see, quantum computing could be a major factor with this increase in cyber attacks, and the change of power on a global scale could be related to that strong dragon mentioned earlier. These cyber attacks could also partially be responsible for how messed up Europe is predicted to get. But I want to close this out with a bit of positivity. First of all, although Baba Vanga has made a number of predictions that have come true, she's also made ones that haven't. And for all the dark stuff here that's said to play out, there's some good stuff too. Apparently we might get incredible medical breakthroughs for things like cancer. We may discover a new form of unlimited clean energy and good things in the years following 2024. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel. All that said, and we're starting things off with the rising of sea levels. Climate change is something that's talked about a lot and has been a concern for years. A rise in natural disasters is one of the primary predictions by Baba Vanga, said to possibly come to a head in 2024, with a rise in sea levels being a major factor. It's a concerning issue that happens because of things like melting ice in polar regions and the expansion of seawater water as it gets warmer. Over the years, the rising water can lead to problems like coastal flooding, erosion, and damage to communities near the coast. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's a slow and steady process. Many coastal areas and low-lying islands are at risk, and people living there might have to move or adapt to deal with higher water levels. Governments and scientists around the world are studying this problem and trying to figure out how to address it. They're looking at ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to slow down the warming of the planet, and also thinking about building stronger defenses like seawalls and flood barriers. At number 9, we have the asteroid. A list of dark predictions with an asteroid involved. Definitely ominous. Fear not though, this one won't be as bad as the one that killed off all the dinosaurs. The prediction doesn't specify exactly where this asteroid will hit or exactly how large it will be, but it's predicted to be powerful and destructive enough to result in a considerable loss of life. But as I said, it doesn't mean the end of the world. Baba Vanga has tons of predictions that go far beyond 2024. In fact, according to her, the world isn't supposed to end until 5079, so we still have some time, depending on whether or not you believe her, of course. The world could totally end far past 5079, or it could end in like 5 minutes. You never know. Next on the list, we have unethical surveillance. Now, this is something that's already taking place. We have cameras on us almost everywhere we go, and we may not even know it, but advances in surveillance technology are supposedly going to skyrocket in the coming year. The rise in unethical surveillance technology is a growing concern. Here you have the development of tools and systems for monitoring people without their consent or knowledge. This technology can include invasive tracking devices, hidden cameras, and software that collects personal data without your permission. There's such a potential for stuff like this to be misused. Some would argue, most would probably argue, that it very much already is being misused. Governments, corporations, everyday individuals have a greater access to personal information than ever and could use it for purposes that violate ethical standards. Unwarranted spying on individuals, mass data collection without consent. Just look at all the ads you get on Google just based on things you've talked about with a friend. It's creepy. Or, the use of surveillance to discriminate or target specific groups could even be a thing. The consequences of unethical surveillance technology can be pretty severe. It could lead to breaches of personal privacy, erosion of trust, and potential harm to individuals and society as a whole. At our number 7 spot, we have a change in Earth's orbit. Now we're getting into some of the more outlandish predictions, but I'm here for it, and so are you, because you're watching me talk about it. Now, as to exactly what degree the orbit is predicted to change or how, it's uncertain, but this could obviously have some pretty dramatic consequences. Our planet is in a very fine balance, and even just the slightest change could throw things off completely. We could see huge disasters hit the planet, and again, one of Baba's big 2024 predictions is a higher level of natural disasters, so maybe they come about as a result of this shift. If Earth were to move closer to the sun, you would see a huge spike in temperatures and radiation at the other end of the spectrum, too far from the sun, and we could easily have another ice age on our hands, like the likes of which would be worse than the Earth has ever seen. Speaking of the sun though, at number 6 we have the solar storm. Baba Vanga predicted that we would experience a terrible solar storm in 2024, the worst in history. Solar storms occur when bursts of energy are emitted from the sun, releasing electrical charges, magnetic fields, and radiation out into the solar system. Usually these storms don't greatly affect us here on Earth, but if one happened to be particularly massive, it could have some pretty severe consequences. Technology could be disrupted, there could be massive blackouts, and if these were bad enough to cause lasting damage, it could lead to the economic issues she also predicted, as well as chaos, as people have become pretty reliant on technology and electrical power in our everyday lives. Some of you are definitely not old enough to remember the massive Northeast blackout of 2003, but it was pretty freaky. It affected 55 million people in 8 US states and parts of Ontario, Canada. It was hard to keep food cool. The subway system was of course down. People were, lighting candles and reading. Honestly, some of it was kind of nice, a time to pause and actually reflect on how much we take everyday necessities for granted while actually going out and doing stuff besides watching TV into the late hours of the night, but had it gone on longer, things could have started getting bad very quickly. Coming in at number 5, we have bioweapons research. According to the Nostradamus of the Balkans, there will be some very dark research taking place in regards to bioweapons. As to where this research will take place, it isn't specified, just that a big country will be carrying out the research in the form of unethical experimentation on people. These experiments could lead to the loss of life on a huge scale. Now, of course, this would all be going on in secret, so verifying something like this could prove to be a bit of a difficult task. Biological warfare has to be one of the scariest forms of warfare out there to me. It's something you just don't see coming, almost impossible to fight against, causing mass hysteria in its wake. Definitely hope this one it doesn't come true, along with everything else on this list, obviously, but especially this one. Next up, we have a really weird one with the end of births. This is some of the sillier stuff that makes me much more skeptical of all the other predictions Baba Vanga has made. Apparently, 2024 will see a full-on end to natural births. That's quite a bold prediction. Hard to see this one coming to fruition within the next year. Distant future? Possibly, but not anytime soon. Apparently there could be a ban on natural births, with humans being grown in labs instead. Gene editing technology could come into play here, a technology that's well into development already, allowing parents to choose what genetic traits their child would be born with. Again, I have a hard time seeing this one play out anytime soon. Gene editing, sure, but an outright ban on natural births? I don't know. At least not on a global scale. Then again though, maybe she wasn't talking about it happening on a global scale. Maybe this will only affect one country, for example. At number 3, we have augmented humans. 2024 is predicted to see a rise in technology that allows human beings to replace parts of their body with cybernetic implants. We already have technology like this, and it's great for people who were born without important body parts or lost them, but this type of technology also has the potential to get out of hand. When we start integrating technology into our bodies, there are concerns about privacy and security. Imagine if hackers could access your augmented body parts, or if the data from these enhancements was exploited somehow. It could lead to identity theft or other malicious activities. There's also the risk of inequality. Everyone might not have access to these enhancements, creating a divide between those who can afford them and those who can't. This would only make that gap between the haves and have-nots even wider. Another concern is dependence on technology. If we were to start relying too much on these enhancements, we might lose some of our natural abilities and skills. What if the technology fails or becomes obsolete? We could find ourselves in a pretty vulnerable position. Ethical questions arise as well. What happens when we enhance our cognitive abilities? Will it create unfair advantages in education or out in the job world? And when it comes to physical enhancements, should athletes be allowed to use them in sports? There are some deep philosophical dilemmas here. When we merge with machines, what does it even mean to be a human? Might lose touch with our humanity or create a society where being normal means having artificial enhancements. It's a lot to think about. And at number 2, we have the environmental destructor. Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice. Sounds like some sort of comic book superweapon that instantly freezes anything in its path. Well, apparently that's exactly what it is, except this won't happen in a comic book, it'll happen in real life. Yeah, we're getting kooky here again, but I'm just gonna embrace it and imagine that this could actually be a thing. According to Baba Vanga, the United States will be caught up in a war resulting in the development of a highly advanced weapon, a weapon that freezes things. I can see the ice-based pun memes now when this thing gets revealed to the public, and then everyone will start protesting that they have the right to have their own high-powered freezing weapon in their own homes, and I'd probably understand it. I'd want one too. Finally, we have the bird virus. Apparently some mysterious illness isn't only going to be potentially hitting human beings in 2024, but the birds as well. What birds? What virus? We don't know, but it could have quite an effect on our planet. Birds play a pretty big role in the ecosystem. If this virus was bad enough, it could spread to other animals as well. Predators who eat birds and maybe even human beings. Or the result of said virus could be zombies zombie-like. Get deranged birds swooping down from the sky to exact ruthless aggression against the non-flying animals of the earth. We could have a real-life version of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds on our cybernetic hands, but with all our unethical surveillance, we'd see them coming from miles away anyway, at least. And with our brand new environmental destructor weapons, we could freeze them in midair.
Starting off this countdown, we have the diseases. Got some good news for you all. Baba Vanga predicted that we will find the cure to any disease. I mean, that's good. Bad news, that's gonna happen thousands of years in the future. She believes that in the future we will master cloning. She said, and I quote, "The rise of cloning allows doctors to cure any disease as the body is simply and easily replaced." Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. But I don't think I will be alive when there are clones roaming around. In our 9th spot, we have the death date. Here's a question for you all. Would you want to know what day you're going to die? Let me know in the comments below. I personally would not want to know. I would get too anxious just knowing about it. But here's the thing. Baba Vanga predicted her own death. Yeah, apparently she knew the exact day she was going to die. She passed away on August 11th, 1996 at the age of 85. In our 8th spot, we have the Syrian gas attack. Before Baba Vanga passed away, she warned us all of an attack that was going to happen. She said, Muslims would use chemical warfare against Europeans. Now, not much was thought about this until the 2017 sarin gas attack in Syria. People then thought that her prediction closely resembled the events of that attack. So in April of 2017, a chemical attack in Syria led to around 70 deaths and 100 injuries. It was thought that the Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad was the one who initiated the chemical attack against his own people. Sarin is a highly toxic chemical. It's considered to be 20 times deadlier than cyanide. Basically, it attacks the nervous system and causes incredibly painful and uncontrollable muscle contractions that make it impossible to breathe. As a result, you die by asphyxiation. It was an incredibly tragic event that Baba Vanga supposedly predicted. Moving on, we have Russia. Now, Baba Vanga had tons of predictions about Russia. Some more terrifying than others. So basically, she believes that Putin and Russia will dominate the world. Her predictions state that Russia will become the lord of the world. Not only that, she said, and I quote, "Nobody can stop Russia." Okay, but that's not the freaky part. She also said, and I quote, "All will thaw as if ice, only one remain untouched. Vladimir, glory, glory of Russia." She somehow knew back in 1979 that Vladimir Putin was going to become president. But her predictions about Russia and Putin don't stop there. She also claimed that there will be a World War III, and I quote, "Russia will not only survive, it will dominate the world." Yeah, that's pretty scary. In our 6th spot, we have the Beast. Thank gosh we won't be around in a couple of thousands of years because some weird stuff is going to happen in the year 3000. So in the Jonas Brothers song, The Year 3000, they believe that the world will be underwater. But that ain't going to happen according to Vanga, although that would be a better scenario. She believes that from 3815 to 3878, civilization will be destroyed and people will live like beasts until a new religion rises out of the darkness. That's great, so all of society and everything we've established will just be abolished and the world will be complete mayhem. See, good thing we will be gone before that, unless that whole cloning thing happens. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with global warming. Whether you believe in global warming or not, Baba Vanga certainly did. In fact, she said that from 2033 to around 2045, polar ice caps will melt and ocean levels will rise. It's kind of scary how she's not the only psychic to predict this though. Nostradamus also predicted the exact same thing. And I mean, yeah, it's coming true. A bit sooner than she predicted, but it's happening. In fact, she believes that in 2341 the Earth will be destroyed and will become uninhabitable. Although, it may happen sooner than that. Coming in at number 4, we have the assassination. Among the countless predictions about Russia, Vanga had another one surrounding Russia's president. She said that in the year 2020 there will be an attempt made to assassinate Putin. Now, she did say attempt, making it seem like it wasn't successful, but apparently it will get carried away by someone in his government. So he better be watching his back, someone may be coming for him. In our 3rd spot we have Earth's orbit.
So here's another prediction by Vanga that is pretty vague. Like, I have no clue what she meant by this. But Vanga said that in the year 2023, or around then, the Earth's orbit will change. Like, what are we talking about here? Does she mean we will get hauled into a better orbit? Or is something funky going to happen with our solar system? Like, maybe we're gonna get pulled into an area in space that's inhabitable. Then we would die from this drastic change. I wish she gave us more information on that. Making our way down the list at number 2, we have the alien hybrids. So Vanga has made predictions about aliens before. You can check those out in my previous video. So she definitely was a believer in extraterrestrials. She predicted that from 4302 to 4674, the concepts of evil and hatred will be eliminated. That's good, right? Our world would be way more positive without evil and hate. Well, let me continue. She also stated that humans are immortal and have assimilated with aliens. Like, what? Hold on. How did we go from a peaceful world to a world filled with aliens as our friends? So somehow, in a couple of thousand years, we will figure out how to live forever. Maybe the answer to this lies in aliens. Maybe they provide us with the key to immortality. And in our number 1 spot, we have Chernobyl. Baba Vanga has predicted countless natural disasters and tragedies, including Chernobyl. Apparently, Vanga warned others about a nuclear disaster. Some say the disaster that she was seeing was Chernobyl. So back in 1986 in Ukraine, an accident in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant caused the reactor to explode. It is said that this is the worst nuclear disaster to date. It resulted in the death of around 31 people. However, the explosion had lasting effects. It's reported that the accident was responsible for nearly 20,000 cases of thyroid cancer from being exposed to the nuclear chemicals. On top of that, the radioactive materials leaked into pastures and was eaten by cows, and then was later found in their milk that children were drinking. It was a very devastating tragedy, again, maybe one that Vanga predicted.